Right, listen, there's only one place we can start, and that's, of course, the England squad. So many questions to ask both of you. I'll start with you, Benny. When you saw it, what did you make of it?
Listen, it was a bit predictable, if I'm honest. There were players in the squad that I knew would be in there, but there were also players that I felt that should have been in the squad that haven't gone to the World Cup. But I'm positive about this squad, and I'm happy that James Maddison's in there because he was one that couldn't have done any more to get himself in there. He was brilliant last season. He's come back this season. He's looked even better this season. Even though Leicester have had a poor start to the season, he hasn't let his standards slip. Been absolutely outstanding. And finally, Gareth has obviously made the right call on that. But it does rival similarities between. Remember when the country was calling out for Grealish, and he kept leaving him out, and all of a sudden he went, "Do you know what? I can't." The same thing happened with Maddison. Everyone's talking about Maddison.
Do you think he's bowed to pressure, fan pressure, to pick James Maddison in that squad?
I'd say a little bit. He doesn't strike me as the type that will, because Harry Maguire's in it, so he doesn't listen to what everyone thinks. But I think, listen, that like Benny said, but he is the type of player, Maddison, that if you take him, you have to play him. I don't mean you have to start him. He's pushing for a start, but I don't want to see him go to a World Cup and just not feature at all. He's got too much quality for that. How
did you both find out, by the way, that you were included in squads? Not the World. I won't muck about with the World Cup one, but how did you, Jack, find it?
Honestly,
maybe can we get Theo Walcott on the phone?
We've got to play it again, Ray. You're going for the sixth time.
How did you find out, Jack, that you were in the World Cup squad?
Roy Hodgson rang me.
Yeah. How long before it was announced? The day of.
Yeah. Okay. And I was touch and go because I'd just come back. I think I played 3 games at the end of the season. I started the season, then got injured, played 3 games at the end, so I didn't know whether I was going to go. And then he called me and told me. There
were some media outlets that over the last 8 hours, 9 hours before the squad,
they always do.
They got it wrong.
They got it wrong.
They said Maddison was out the squad. So I won't name them. They know who they are. But isn't that terrible? The morning of the squad announcement, they come out.
Honestly,
on social
it's the worst
media.
thing. I mean, Jack was fortunate enough; he got to go. But I remember sitting there in my mum's front room, and it breaking on Sky. We're hearing reports because that's always the line, isn't it?
Yeah.
It might have been even Jim White.
So no one phoned you and said you're not included.
No,
it might be Jim
probably
White.
Jim White, but it was broke. We're hearing reports that I've not made the squad, and Defoe. Say this is 2006.
What? You didn't know at this point?
I didn't know at this point, and then maybe half an hour, probably around midday, the phone rings. Private number, Sven. Hi Darren, you're not going, but keep working hard, and hopefully we'll see you soon.
Oh, that's nice. Was it really that short?
That short?
Because I should point out
about
to people,
25 seconds.
That people that probably are unaware of it, that at that time you were the leading goal scorer in the Premier League, English leading goal scorer, right?
Yeah.
And he left you out to play a player that had never played 1 minute of Premier League football.
Yeah, Theo Walcott. Honestly, these characters. Right, what's wrong with you? But yeah, that's how it broke. I saw it on the news first, and I'm telling you that's worse now because of social media. So these guys would have been checking Twitter for fun.
Let me ask you about the players that have been left out. I've got a few in front of me. Ivan Toney, Tomori, Tammy, Sancho, James Ward-Prowse as well, Dan Burn being another one. Out of those, I'll stay with you, Benny. Out of those players, are you surprised that one of these aren't in the squad or not? Do they deserve to be there?
You know what, there's 3 that jump off the page, and that's a lot. Tomori went to Italy, won Serie A last season. I know maybe this season his form hasn't been great, but you're still talking about a guy that played for a side that's in the Champions League, that's qualified out the groups, played incredibly well last season, that hasn't been given an opportunity to go to a World Cup. Tammy Abraham, I mean, you know, again, this season he hasn't started well, but again, you're talking about somebody who scored 31 goals since the start of last season. Only Harry Kane has scored more than that as an English centre-forward, so I think he should be aggrieved. And also James Ward-Prowse. I don't think he's done anything. I know he's gone to Southampton, he's at Southampton struggling, but he's been asked to play a different role. Lavia got injured, he's playing a bit deeper. But why is he not in the squad? I think it's been unfortunate for himself that he's been left out.
Jack?
Yeah, the one that jumps out to me is Tammy. He scored all them goals. He's playing in a good league. He's learning. He's come on so much. And where I worry, listen, I love Callum Wilson. I played with him, and he is so effective in a certain playing style. And I just worry, listen, Harry Kane's going to play. And if Harry Kane gets injured, who's going to lead the line? I think Wilson will bring you more than Tammy would in the last 20 if we need a goal. But I think if Tammy had to start, I think he brings more to it than Wilson.
What about Ivan Toney?
You know, I think they made the right call there, in my opinion. I think, listen, he went away with the squad last time. He didn't play. I think that was probably a sign. Maybe Gareth saw something in training that we didn't see. But I think Callum Wilson deserves a little bit more than him.
Do you know what though, Andy? It almost screams with the Ivan Toney that, you know, you asked the question to me and Jack, or to Jack, about bowing to the the fan pressure.
Yeah.
It almost felt like with the Ivan Toney, he picked him, put him in the squad, and had no intention of playing him. Because you're talking about 2 games and he doesn't get 1 minute just to showcase his an opportunity to get in the squad. So he almost like, well, I'll bring him, but he's not going to play. And that's unfair on Ivan because he's done well.
Let me ask you both as well. So from speaking to you two off air and speaking to many a footballer, you know, that's either playing the game or has recently retired, they all tell me that at some stage or another during the season, they're 9 times out of 10, they're probably never ever fully fit. They've always got some kind of niggle. How would you both feel? I'll stay with you, Jet. How would you both feel going into this weekend's fixtures, knowing that you're 1 game away from actually taking off on that plane with England and playing in a World Cup? Would you maybe, if you were carrying a knock, would you perhaps say to the manager, listen, I don't feel right, I shouldn't be playing, or would you play the game differently? How do you go about that?
I think that comes down to the individual player, because I was a player who was always committed, and that was probably my downfall. But like you said, I don't think there was not even just a game, not even a training session where I weren't feeling something. I was never 100%. So you sort of learn to manage pain and deal with that. I was a player who would have been committed no matter what this weekend. But there will be some players that are thinking in the back of their mind, look, just get through this weekend and we're going to a World Cup.
Do you know what? I'm delighted that Callum's in the squad because I think he deserves it. He's been brilliant. But he's someone who struggled with injuries. Now, this last game before the World Cup, it has to be in the back of his mind. It has to be, because we've seen him over the last couple of seasons get injuries where there's no one about. Like, he's obviously chased after a ball and something's just pinged, and he's I think it was his calf against somebody, I think last season, innocuous. So going into this weekend's action, you've got a World Cup around the corner. Surely you're thinking to yourself, like, you don't want to take your foot off the gas, but you're a little bit tentative every tackle, every time you move. It must be a strange situation to be in.
Just quickly as well, Jack, you've recently retired. You're only, 30? You're still incredibly young. Had you been free of injury, you would have been in this World Cup squad. Do you look at this and think what could have been, or that's long gone now?
You know what? I was literally, before we coming out, I was looking at the on this sheet I've got is the date of births. And Callum Wilson, born in 92, my age. Couple older, Carl Walker, Kieran Trippier, born in 90.
Harry Kane's around about your age, right? 29?
Yeah, he's a bit younger. No, I don't think like that. I mean, I was in a squad with Gareth. He put me in a squad when he first came into the job, and he did the same as Tony. I went there, I didn't play, didn't get on the pitch, and I sort of felt like he wasn't feeling me then, so sort of come to terms with that. 2018 World Cup would have been one where I was watching it thinking, I should have been there, or I might have made a difference if I was there. But when you have that feeling that the manager's not really feeling you, I had that with him, so I went through it in 2018, but not anymore.
talkSPORT Drive with Andy Goldstein, Monday to Friday afternoon from 4 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.